Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Mixed Martial Analysis. And since we're stuck in quarantine, right, you can't fucking go anywhere. There's no live sports on. UFC 249 looks like it's in major jeopardy right now. They can't get anything together. Um, if they do put a fight on, it's gonna have to. They're gonna have to be so many regulations in place, and I know that the fighters want to get paid, and this is, I mean, a song for another time. This isn't what I want to touch on today, but man, it makes you wonder if moving forward with these fights is the right thing to do in the grand scheme of things. Because if you look how serious this is, or how serious it appears to be, I mean, I don't know, right? Anyway, I figured something cool to do would be to go back and score some of the more highly debated outcomes in UFC history. And the one we're going to do today, GSP versus Johnny Hendricks at UFC 167, is probably like the flagship egregious decision in UFC history, right? Like if you were to ask somebody, what do you think is the worst robbery in UFC history? A lot of people would say this one, especially because of the title implications, right? And this is one of those cases where I felt like Johnny Hendricks, when I watched it last at least, and this is just my opinion of the fight, that's why I'm going to go back through it, right? But I felt like Johnny did enough to beat the champ. Like I thought he beat him convincingly, right? So I want to go back and kind of rescore these and rescore them with a little bit of a revised system, right? Because I think that don't get me wrong, I'm not a professional in any of this. I'm just a fan, right? But I think that the system that they have in place to score MMA right now is flawed because it's so easy to just slap a 10-9 on a close round and give it to whoever, you assumed was the closest. There's no real there's no real accountability on the judge's side. Like it's so much easier to justify that, right? So the goal is to eliminate that first off. And I think one of the ways that you eliminate that is when I watch a fight, okay, I think about everything starts off even. It's right here. And I say this all the time, but I think about it working like a scale, right? And the more that a guy does, the more weight he puts on his side of the scale and he starts winning, right? And you have to find a way to reflect the gap. And not that the system is perfect, but I mean, I think that you propose a system where you have 10 points available in every round. And you can win each round by half point increments. So, for example, the closest that you could have would be a 5-5, right? Which would be a draw for that round. And I think draws should be considered a little bit more frequently. But anyway, you could have a 5-5. You could have a 5.5 to a 4.5. A 6 to a 4, right? And so on and so forth. And this sounds weird, but I think I kind of think the best way to judge MMA is using the eye test. Just kind of, watching the fight and because the problem is when you start assigning points to specific things, right? Like if you assign a certain amount of points to a knockdown, not all knockdowns are created the same. There are knockdowns where guys are clearly, you can see it in their eyes that they're not really there anymore and they're trying to regain it, right? Like they're trying to clear the cobwebs, as you hear a lot of guys say. But then there are those knockdowns where you just kind of there are punches that are off balancing the guy and he's just falling over, right? And he's recovering quickly. Like that, to me, a good example of that would be Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz. Like he was dropping Nate, but not rocking Nate. You know what I mean? So if you start assigning the same amount of points to those two knockdowns, you run into problems. So I kind of think you have to just use the eye test. But I think that if you allow the gap to widen, right? If you allow there to be wider point margins, then you hold judges more accountable because it's so much more evident in their scoring where their thought process is. Because they would have to justify, like I said, you can just slap a 10-9 on a round, but if a guy clearly won a round, you would get more insight to what that guy was actually thinking. Like, was that guy actually fucking crazy? Like, did he, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to explain, but I think it holds judges more accountable. So we're going to go through using that system and I'm going to score them and I'll score them. I'll give you the 10-9. I'll use the current system as well, what I think the score of that is. But, I obviously can't show you any of the video content, right? Because I'll get flagged for copyright or whatever, but, I'll let you know where I'm at and I'll try to put a timer on this cause I'm not recording this live. So I'll get a timer up and you guys can follow along if you want to listen to me talk through it or whatever. So Oh, I'm going to have to mute that or I'm going to definitely get... Also, I want to mute it just because I don't want the commentators like influencing my opinion. Like, obviously, you learn a ton by listening to guys like Dominic Cruz, DC, Joe Rogan, right? Because they're so educated on the sport. But man, Johnny Hendricks, 15-1. So Bruce Buffer's announcing them right now. This was when Johnny Hendricks was, I mean, tearing through people, man. And his wrestling was just so, you know, so elite. And that was what was so interesting about this matchup is, I mean, how many people accused George of the so-called lay and pray, right? I never liked that terminology, but, you know, I mean, George's wrestling has been one of the staples of his entire career. All right, let's speed this up. Touching gloves. Johnny Hendricks looks calm, too. He looks ready for this moment. All right, and they're touching gloves. Okay, 455, 54, 53, 2, 1. Oh, nice takedown from GSP right away. But Johnny gets that hook in there. And George rolling for a guillotine. See, like right here, George is controlling the pace of the fight so far, right? Johnny back to his feet, though. Trying to establish an underhook. Nice knee from Johnny. See, so like in terms of the scale, GSP's ahead, but Johnny's working his way out of that hole. That's how I'm looking at this right now. Good job by Johnny putting weight on the underhook side of GSP. Now Johnny's starting to shift things in his favor, pushing the fight up against the fence. Yeah, see, this is where things get interesting, right? Like I said, like we were talking about the wrestling. Both guys high-level wrestlers, right? And you get to see some of that here. Like, these are going to be some interesting grappling. Good knees from Johnny. GSP's throwing them too, but I feel like Johnny's been a little more effective at landing them like that right there to the inside of the knee. I'm at 348 right now. 45, 44, 43, 42, 41. Johnny threw an uppercut, and it partially landed, but then GSP shot. Good sprawl from Johnny. And now GSP's working a single. And Johnny's trying to get that foot out and get it outside of GSP's left leg. He wants to circle it out because right now GSP can run the pipe, right? And he's put good head control from GSP. This is now changes levels and goes down for the ankle. Johnny landed some nice elbows. Those are going to hurt. And GSP back up. I don't think he liked that. Johnny reverses position. You can see that Johnny's strong, man. Very strong. This is close, though. This is close. Johnny pushing GSP up against the cage. And look what he's missing right now. Look what he's missing. Okay, he's going down. He's trying to clamp his hands together on a double. And he gets it. Good job. Man, that's nice. Wrist control from Johnny. GSP's kind of in half guard here, but he's stuck up against the cage. Nice elbow from Johnny. And Johnny right back in on a double. Good knees. Looks like he was trying to use that to set up and kind of get GSP's knees closer together so he could complete the takedown, but good defense from GSP, and they break apart. 203, 202, 201. Front kick from GSP. I think it just missed. Oh, big knee from Johnny. Nice jab by GSP. GSP has a great jab. One of the best in the game. Maybe one of the best. Probably maybe the best ever. One of them. He fights behind it really well. Johnny lunging in, but GSP fending him off well. Again, GSP keeping his range well so far. Pawn out there with that kind of... Oh, nice head kick. See, I mean, left hook from GSP. Working the jab again. Back to grab. And immediately, look how Johnny, every time they get in the clinch, Johnny's always going to the inside of GSP's leg with that knee. Boom, there it is again. I mean, he's landing that continuously. That has to count for something, right? Johnny fighting for the underhook here, trying to get double unders. Good wrist control from GSP. Nice knee to the body. And again, nice shot to the ribs from Johnny Hendricks. See, there's so much back and forth here. This is a close round to me. Nice knee from GSP there. And a big left hook from Johnny, but, well defended by GSP. Nice kick from GSP. Johnny with the inside leg kick. Left hook from GSP. Again with the head kick, but he just misses. Nice front kick to the body. Outside leg kick, but Johnny counters with two big left hands. Right hook. They're exchanging here. Left, it looks like a missed. See, to me, it looks like Johnny's just missing in that round with a lot of his punches. I mean, he definitely connected. They both got takedowns. I felt like those elbows right here that they're playing in the replay are very significant. That knee right there that landed from Johnny and wobbled GSP. To me, this is Johnny's round. They both had takedowns, right? But it was just like the more damaging shots there were coming from Johnny Hendricks. To me, that's a round for Johnny just because of, again, damage done. You could and like that, the big elbows, the big knee. He landed with a couple punches, right? And GSP was working things like the jab, but none of them were significant. And they both exchanged takedowns. And, I felt like Johnny was, maybe a little more successful there. I don't know. Close round, very close round, but I'm going Johnny Hendricks 5.5 to 4.5. And 10-9 if you're doing old school. I better open up like a notepad to keep track of this shit or I'm definitely going to forget. Sorry, I know that typing's probably annoying. All right, 448, 47, 46, 45. Sorry, I missed a lot. I saw GSP. See, GSP's doing some nice work from range here. Nice Superman punch. But see those big power shots from Johnny keep and you can tell that GSP doesn't like it. And he's returning fire here. But he's getting tagged with that left hand. And yeah, don't get me wrong, GSP's landing and he's establishing the range, but it's like when Johnny disrespects that range and goes in, his power is much more significant. You can already look at it. GSP's already wearing it on his face. Misses with the left. He's always following that left hand up. And look, GSP's wobbled. See? Definitely hurt. Definitely stunned a little bit there. And again, Johnny's hunting for that left hand. Following the left hand up with the left hand. See? Oh, man, leaning on the left hand. See, now Johnny is out ahead right now to me pretty significantly. Like right now, I would say if I was doing a live scoring, it would be 6-4 Johnny. See, he's just throwing combos and he just keeps landing them over and over. There's a knee again that he goes for, pushing the fight up against the cage. Knee to the outside. GSP's leg there, hunting for this double again, trying to get his hands locked together. I feel like he's got to get a little bit more head control and then try to drop down and change levels and kind of try to, break GSP's posture down first. You see he's kind of doing it now, yeah. I'm at 308, 307, 6, 5 of round 2. Good job by GSP of getting off the fence there, but he's definitely working from behind here. I would say this is nice left hook from GSP. And the jab there. See, he's landing. It's not that he's not landing with these when he throws them. Goes for the kick to the body, but just misses. Exchange leg kicks there. See, he's definitely landing that. Like, you can see that it's hitting. Johnny looks a little fatigued now, like he's maybe taking. Now he's throwing big shots again, and that's the problem, right? Is you got to wonder how. In these moments where Johnny has to take breaks, GSP can do work, and right now GSP is doing good work because Johnny's not able to exert that much power all the time. Those power shots come at a cost, and you see that he's moving backwards a little bit now, trying to recover, and GSP's implementing his offense a little more now. Johnny gets a leg kick going there. Good jab from GSP. Nice jab from GSP again. Oh, they exchanged there, but I think Johnny just missed. See, like, GSP's working himself out of the hole a little bit to me. You can't forget what Johnny did early because GSP still hasn't done anything that significant. There's a left hand from Johnny again. He's still throwing it, but I think GSP's worked his way back to, like, you know, I don't really know. Maybe I still think it's more in the. See, Johnny's throwing big shots there. I still think it's kind of like in the 6'4" range when you're talking about. Like, to me, this, like, don't get me wrong, GSP lands a jab there, and Johnny's, like, doing these facial expressions, like, yeah, good job. Like, yeah, you got me, but you know it's annoying him. And these points for GSP are piling up. Like I said, he's closing the gap a little more here in these closing minutes. Oh, Johnny with a nice uppercut there. Nice head kick from GSP. And see Johnny doing that thing where he's trying to, like, shrug it off. And you can see that, like, I mean, GSP, they just put the stats up. I'm at 58 seconds now, 57, 56. You can see that GSP's much more active. He's throwing way more volume than Johnny. Nice front kick to the body there. And again, working the left hand. Johnny's looking for power shots. That's the difference, right? And power shots, and when he throws punches, he's throwing them in bunches, but everything's with so much power that is costing him. And you can see that he's taking these in these small moments where Johnny requires breaks. GSP's pushing the action and it's closing the gap. See, like, I think GSP's working back towards like a 5.5 to a 4.5, or if he was at a 6.5 before, he's working his way back to a 6 to 4. Still hasn't done anything as significant as Johnny did, but he's definitely been landing more shots, and that counts for something. Nice. They exchange knees there. That's been a pretty common theme through this fight. Johnny Hendricks goes to the inside of GSP's leg, and GSP takes his right knee to Johnny's body. See, right there. Boom, boom. They just keep exchanging in those positions, and they're actually pretty even in there. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Johnny's looks more significant because he's also knocking GSP off balance, right? So I think that's Johnny's round. I think Johnny had just the power shots were more significant, right? He was just busting him up more. And yet GSP was definitely, like, controlling and establishing a pace. But again, I think he did a lot to close the gap in that round. Like, so I think, again, I got it 5.5, 4.5 for Johnny Hendricks. And that would be a 10-9 in the regular scorecards. Now, round one, I think you could I think you could debate that GSP maybe did enough to win that round, but I don't think you can debate that he did enough to win this round. You know what I mean? So maybe I've got it a little off. Maybe round two should be more of a 6 to 4 for Johnny. But GSP did throw a lot of volume, and he controlled the end of the round, and definitely he was landing, man. And you could see that Johnny didn't like it too. I still think Johnny has a slight edge. That's why I'm going 5.5, 4.5. All right, kicking off round 3, 447, 46, 45, 44. GSP, with a big leg kick there from GSP. Oh, Johnny sends a knee up the middle, though, and it looks like it lands. Man, this was a great fight. GSP reaching for the jab, but Johnny stepping out of range of it now. A little more wary to it. Oh, GSP gets through with it there. Now Johnny trying to attack the body, which is smart because, you know, he's been headhunting the whole fight, and he's got to find a way to slow the pace of GSP down. And he should have been going to the body earlier in the rounds because GSP has great cardio, right? So you got to, like, kind of, if you would go to the body, I think it would pay dividends. GSP working the front kick again. Nice outside leg kick. Johnny coming in, but not really landing with anything too clean. Johnny's trying to work his jab too. It's just not as clean as GSP. It's not landing quite as clean. GSP's doing a good job of closing off the space when Johnny throws, because see how Johnny throws with it? He throws his, everything he throws has a little bit wider of an angle, and GSP more comes straight down the pipe. So GSP's able to like crowd the space because Johnny's throwing wide, so he just steps into that space and he's able to negate some of these punches. There's a nice jab from Johnny. Man, they're exchanging. This is a hard round to score. Nice head kick from GSP. Well defended by Johnny, though. Johnny's definitely trying to work the jab more in this round. GSP touching him with it there. See how GSP is able to just kind of negate a lot of the stuff that Johnny throws with his lead hand, though, right? Steps out of the way of the jab there. Controlling the wrist of Johnny now and throwing a kick, but Johnny fires the left hand down the center. That left hand down the center seems to be working the best for him. He just has to find more creative ways to set it up. He needs to attack the legs, go to the body. GSP's, you know what I mean? He's wary to it. It's a little predictable. GSP's a veteran. So Johnny's got to find a way, and he's got to find a way to mix his wrestling in here. Like, I think GSP's winning this round right now. I think he's controlling the pace of the fight, and Johnny's not really throwing or landing any significant offense. And even though GSP's just touching him, GSP's defending himself better, and he's just pawing out that jab and he's just slowly landing things and just slowly picking Johnny away. See, everything's missing, and Johnny's winging punches. GSP's turning the tempo around a little bit. Oh, see? Nice right hand down the pipe. I'm at 203, 202, 201. Outside leg kick from GSP. See, it's almost like Johnny's not following through with his punches as much either now, and GSP is. Look how he's extending through them. And Johnny almost seems like he's pulling him up short. Like he's afraid to exert all the energy. You know what I mean? And GSP's just catching him because of that. And because of the wide angles that he comes in at. And the fact that his pace is slowed down, GSP's able to implement his offense much more effectively and control the pace. There's a nice jab from Johnny. He's definitely trying to establish the jab more in this round, which is good. But to me, GSP's still ahead because right now he's like he's kind of playing the game that GSP's been playing the whole fight, right? Which is like, get your range, establish this, and like trying to, pick you apart. You can tell that Johnny's like, all right, I kind of need to establish that myself because without it, I'm going to be relying on my power, and that's not going to get me through a 5-round fight. I would imagine, right? I'm obviously not in there. Johnny goes for a double there, but well defended by GSP. Johnny running him up against the cage, though. Again, hunting for that double. But GSP doing a good sell. Here, transitions to a single and lands it. Nice takedown from Johnny. See, now, you had GSP picking him apart, and now Johnny lands a takedown. This is a close round. But it's like, again, is this more significant than the work that GSP did? I mean, yes and no, right? He only did it for... Oh, see GSP back to his feet, though. So no, if Johnny would have established control through the duration of that round, you might have had a little bit of a closer argument, but I still think GSP won that. I'm going 5.5, 4.5 for GSP, which makes me think that my score in round 2 for Johnny Hendricks was wrong. I think it should be a 6-4. And I know that you're not allowed to go back and revise shit like that, but I did it. So... It doesn't count, right? Because this doesn't fucking matter. All right, so that would be a 10-9, though, for GSP, right? The point is that round 2, in my opinion, was the most significant round of the fight so far, and it was in favor of Johnny Hendricks. And if you have a 10-point must system in place, that's a 10-9. But that round that I just gave GSP is a 10-9 as well. Don't get me wrong, the takedown from Johnny's significant, but, like, GSP worked his way back to his feet quickly. Ended the round on his feet. So it's not like you implemented your game plan to end the round out. You know what I mean? You didn't really show us anything super significant with the takedown. So I'm still leaning with GSP there. Going into round 4 now, and we're at 456, 55, 54. GSP always working the jab, man. Always working the left hand, throwing it from different angles all the time too, mixing up the timing on it. I think that's what Johnny's kind of having trouble with too, is where he's just trying to he's just still worrying about connecting with the jab, and GSP's just constantly throwing it from different angles and has it established more at this point, right? So GSP's got to find, or Johnny, has to find a way to overcome it. Yeah, they just put the stats up, 115 in favor of St. Pierre. Hendricks only has 97 strikes. But again, that doesn't tell the story, man. The stats alone don't tell the story. But it does show you that GSP is narrowing the gap with his volume, regardless of the damage that Johnny's done, right? See, always working that left hand. And again, shutting down a lot of the offense from Johnny so far. Johnny just having trouble getting anything going. It's now Johnny, they get into an exchange and Johnny's on top. See, now Johnny's in control of this round. He has a chance to establish. He landed some elbows here. See, now he's doing some good work. And I couldn't tell, and I don't want to pause this and rewind because I don't want to fuck the timing up, but I couldn't tell if Johnny landed something or if it was more of a trip from GSP. We'll probably see it at the end of the round. See, that's important too, because even when you're fucking paying attention to the fight, there's small things that are hard to see. So having those significant moments available for you to review afterwards, I think are kind of important, right? Because the human eye is not perfect. But I'm sure that there are people who watch fights way, way more than me and know way more about it and have a way easier time telling what's happening, right? Johnny's just on top here in the guard. GSP's, trying to control his posture, hold his head down here, maybe trap an arm and look for an arm bar, trying to get his hips free. Gets some space and gets back to his feet. Good work from GSP. But I still think Johnny's ahead a little bit right now, more like a 5.5, 4.5 type of deal. See, this was a close fight too. Johnny's just falling short with some of those punches. He's just not getting through with them like he was earlier in the second round especially. He was getting ahead. There he's looking for it, and he's throwing hard with that left hand. GSP just always working though, just always throwing something. I'm at 204, 203, 202. Johnny throwing a nice combo there, but GSP again getting something in. There's never a combo where Johnny throws and GSP doesn't land with something back. You know what I mean? Johnny might find mild success, but GSP's just always giving him something is my point. And look at GSP's face, man. It's busted up. Big cut under his right eye. GSP engaging in the clinch here. But again, Johnny reverses. Johnny just seems to be a little stronger in these positions here. That seems to be the difference maker up against the cage. And when you get into that position, a lot of the times you will see the stronger guy win, especially if you can, if you guys are in a 50-50 position, right, where you both have each of you has one underhook. See, these are good. Johnny's in on a single. Good defense from GSP so far. GSP trying to get his hips back, yeah. And now he's got his weight over the top of Johnny's head. Johnny reverse in position here. A lot of grappling exchanges here. Johnny working the knee. Man, that's a tough one. GSP definitely, again, in the striking exchange is getting ahead more, right? But then you got Johnny Hendricks landing the takedown. GSP eventually works his way back to his feet, but Johnny was definitely throwing elbows after he landed that, and he see, like right there, you see the elbows that he's throwing from the guard. Those definitely matter. Those are definitely, but those are just like, don't get me wrong, they're significant strikes, right? I think that's just barely Johnny's round again. I think that this is a really close fight, guys. I'm going to go just barely Johnny's round because there was ground control there and there wasn't any control. And in the grappling exchanges, GSP wasn't doing anything as significant as Johnny could do with grappling, and grappling's important. He put GSP on his back, and yes, he's kind of picking him apart from the outside, but Johnny's still finding mild success, lukewarm success, right, with the striking. But you can see that, I mean, Johnny's face isn't busted up at all, and that's because GSP's just touching him. And those short little strikes that Johnny landed right there on the ground, I think they're pretty significant. We're heading into round 5 now, and I'm at 450, 49, 48, 47. All right. Missed a couple exchanges. I'm sorry. Now shit's going to be imperfect. GSP working a single here. Doing a good job getting little shots in here, too, with the jab. I think GSP lands a big takedown in this round, too. He's just literally dragging him out. Like, Johnny's foot was just sliding, just dragging him away from the cage. I'm at 404, 3, 2, 1. Back up against the cage, and you can just see, again, in the grappling exchanges, like, especially 50-50, Johnny's just stronger. I don't know. I don't think that was going to work. Johnny had his right arm wrapped up over GSP's head. Johnny with wrist control here, which is good. Using that to try to get in on that double. But GSP does a good job of adjusting and widening his base. GSP with a Kimura grip here. And, Johnny just misses a Kimura grip of his own. GSP with a 1-2 that both land, both connect. Johnny's sticking his tongue out at him now. Pawing at him with the jab. GSP sending those kicks up the middle. Nice kick to the body from GSP. Again connects, and GSP gets a takedown. See, I mean, this is a close fight, guys, for sure. Johnny already complaining. I mean, he definitely doesn't want to be here, but he does a good job of spinning and getting out there. GSP right immediately on his head, though, draping his body weight over the top of Johnny's head. Johnny's got to find. And the problem is that Johnny has the fence behind him, right? But Johnny needs to get like an arm through and he's got an underhook there, and he's able to get back to his feet. GSP in control of the grappling here a little bit, though. Got the again, though, in that 50-50 position when they're both, well, I guess they're not in 50-50 here. GSP's got wrist control. And now, though, look, 50-50. GSP actually, but Johnny will probably spin here at some point, right? He's been able to so far. Now they're in, they're getting into some fucking exhausting exchanges here. See Johnny able to eventually, though, establish that underhook with the left hand and push the fight up against the cage. GSP is doing a good job, though, of extending and getting away from Johnny, and that's allowing him to reverse the position. But they were just kind of playing like merry-go-round right there, right? Like each of them just going back and forth and back and forth. So that's 50-50 so far, but GSP's definitely up in my book in this round. Johnny with the right hand. GSP with the leg kick. GSP working the kick again. Now GSP going for another takedown. I mean, this is GSP's round to me so far. We're coming up on a minute now. 59, 58. GSP working on the single, going for the other ankle. I mean, Johnny's doing a good job defending, don't get me wrong. And it's like when either of them accomplishes something on the ground, the other does find a way to work their way back to their feet eventually. But GSP with another takedown, man. I'll tell you what. And this is the problem with even like my scoring system, right? This is a close fight. Like I would say that like they've just been in so many grappling exchanges, right? But anything that's significant happened in that round happened in favor of George. So it's definitely George's round. It's just how many points do you assign him? Again, it's a 10-9 in the current system, right? But I'm trying to like debate and work out the kinks in this one because it's obviously not perfect and I'm going to have to edit it a lot, right? But and kind of revise it as I go. But I don't know what the answer to that round is. Is that a 6 for GSP? Because I'm going to go 5.5 to 4.5 just because so much of the time was spent with them in kind of even grappling exchanges, right? That might be wrong. And I might actually go back and watch this fight again and try to like do this on my own and just give it some more thought because there's definitely, there's so many things to consider in a fight like that actually. So I'm going 5.5 to 4.5 for GSP in that round or 10-9. So these were all 10-9 rounds to me, with round 2 for Johnny Hendricks being the closest thing to a 10-8, but under the current standards, I don't think it qualifies. Maybe I'm wrong, but I still think that Johnny won rounds 1, 2, and 4. And I think I gave GSP, and round 1 was close too. So if you're a judge, and you're watching GSP definitely won 5. And I thought that he won 3. But I thought Johnny just barely edged out 1 just because he was landing with the power early on, but you could see that like he wasn't able to keep that up all fight. But things like that, right? Like they're showing the replay right now where Johnny's definitely wobbling him and landing bigger shots. So, I mean, maybe I'm off a little bit on this, right? But under my system, I got to add up the total. And let me get a calculator because I will definitely fuck it up if not. I got 5.5 for Johnny in round 1. I got 6 for Johnny in round 2. 4.5 for Johnny in round 3. 5.5 for Johnny in round 4. And 4.5 for Johnny in round 5. So 26 points total for Johnny. And for GSP, I got 4.5 plus 4 plus 5.5 plus 4.5 for round 4 and plus 5.5 for round 5. So 24 points. So I would have this fight 26 to 24 in favor of Johnny. And again, I'm not saying I'm necessarily right. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. And if I was scoring at 10-9, I mean, 3 rounds to Johnny, right? Is it 48-47? Is that what it ends up being? I can't do the math off the top of my head. But anyway, yeah, I scored this fight in favor of Johnny. 48-47, 49-48, whatever the fuck it would add up to. I should know this, right? 10 times 3 plus 18. Yeah, 48-47. So if you're using a 10-point must system, I would give it 48-47 to Johnny Hendricks. And if you were using like a revised point system, 26 to 24 in favor of Johnny, which I mean, I think also you can scale these numbers however you want, right? And like I said, I got a lot of thinking to do about it, but even that reflects the gap I felt like that Johnny, in my opinion, won the fight by more accurately than 48-47 does even, right? And you're only talking about 26 or you're only talking about 10 points available in every round. So if you scale it up to 20 points available in every round, I mean, basically you basically double it. So you end up with 52 to 48 is what it would end up being, which I think again is a more accurate representation than 48-47, and especially in favor of GSP, right? I don't know. You could definitely argue, but okay. So let's work under the assumption instead that let's even give GSP round 1, right? Using this like newly weighted system. And like I said, you could scale it up however you want, but let's assume that we're using 10 points available in every round like we did to just score the whole fight. So let's say that you give round 1 to GSP because maybe you think it's kind of controversial, right? And you're leaning towards GSP's volume. Maybe you prefer that kind of work. In your opinion, that's more important to you. So let's just flip that, right? I think the rest of the rounds were a little bit more clear. So I'm using round 1 as the example. Like, I think that was the one with maybe a little debate. I don't know. But let's assume that you gave that to GSP. He would gain a full point. So he would go up to 25 points. And Johnny would drop to 25 points, so that you would have a draw in this case, right? I'm not necessarily convinced that that's the right thing to do for round 1, but in this case, I mean, I guess in my opinion that's more accurate than GSP winning the fight. So, like I said, this definitely needs tweaked, and it maybe scaling it up to 20 points available in every round would be the way to do it. A little bit closer to what they have now, just to widen that gap a little more. Because using the decimals, I think, is a little bit of a nuisance as well. Maybe that was kind of short-sighted on my part, but anyway, I'll rule one of these out. I just saw it on Instagram. One of my buddies asked to join me to do this, and I missed it. But I'm actually going to see if him and maybe someone else, maybe one of my other friends, wants to get on here, and we'll go through and we'll watch these fights together and kind of give you all 3 of our opinions. So they're both purple belts in jiu-jitsu too, so I'll be held a little bit more accountable. But maybe we'll pick another fight, like a close one, like Henry Cejudo versus Demetrius Johnson when Henry won the belt, right? I don't know. I'm trying to think of some other really close ones. There are a ton of them. Diaz-Conner too would be a good one to do, because there are a lot of people that argue that Diaz won that fight. So I'll talk to them, and I'll see what they think, and if they want to record something like this. And yeah. We'll do this for the duration of quarantine. And I think that's going to wrap things up. Thank you guys for tuning in. And stick with me, like I said, as I refine this scoring system. I know it's not perfect. And if you disagree, let me know. And let me know where I'm fucking up. Like, because you guys are MMA fans. You know a lot of it. You know what I mean? You're fucking listening to this for a reason. Let me know what you think. You guys, I've gotten into arguments on here with people and ended up being completely wrong. I got in an argument one time with this guy about Rafael dos Anjos versus Michael Chiesa, and he ended up being 100% right. And I got in an argument with another guy about Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski, and his, like, both of their explanations in that situation of what was going to happen was spot on. And I was like, fuck, I got to eat crow. But I'm not afraid to do that. Like, I might disagree with you, but your opinions are oftentimes much more valid than mine. So please throw them in the comments and let me know what you think. Thank you guys for tuning in. Check us out on Instagram. Mixed Martial Analysis. I think there's some underscores in between each word. Same thing on Twitter, I believe. Just look the name up, Mixed Martial Analysis. And if you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, you can check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to us there. That's where I usually post everything first, and then I spit it out to all the other platforms. So if you want to stay up to date, definitely go to YouTube. And again, thank you for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. Bye-bye.